Thank you for listening to Fuel Your Legacy. There have been some changes to the podcast, and Sam and the Fuel Your Legacy team wanted to make you aware of them. First things up, you're listening to this specific podcast episode on the original feed that was created for Fuel Your Legacy. There's been some changes that we've made to the podcast, one of which is transferring this podcast over to a new hosting service. Well, what that means for you as a listener is that there's one slight change that will need to be addressed for you to be able to continue listening to the new episodes that will be released on Wednesdays and Fridays going forward. If you take a moment and look at the device to which you're listening to this podcast episode on and see in the show notes, there's going to be links for both iTunes and Spotify, the two major podcast listening services that are available. Because of the changes that we made, unfortunately, we were not able to source the original iTunes feed. And so it means we've had to take this podcast and all the episodes that have been recorded thus far and transfer them over to an entirely new feed. So from here on out, this will be the last episode that you will hear on that feed. However, this episode is being released on Friday, which means that Sam has a great value-packed episode that will be available on this other feed as referenced. By clicking on the show notes on the device to which you're currently listening to this very episode, you'll be directed to those other feeds. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast. We hope you enjoy the value that's coming down the pipe. And please remember, always fuel your legacy.